On this episode, we discuss Sting's Raw appearance, the Rollins and Orton storyline, Bryan and the IC title, WWE kicking people out, WrestleMania, your questions, and more now on Byte That. Welcome everybody, you are listening to episode 82 of Byte That, the somewhat, maybe international professional wrestling podcast, where we talk about the ups and downs of that which we love, which is the 3-minute warning. Thanks for listening to us, checking us out. We are available every single Tuesday. We're on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, ByteThat.com, and of course, you can go over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast, and get this and tons of other good stuff. My name is Juan Velez. I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I'm alive, and we may get to that a little bit later, maybe, but joining me from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, Keith Poshik. How are you doing, bro?
Juan, real talk for a minute.
What up?
Is Rosie's superhero in training gimmick the most underrated gimmick of all time?
That outfit. I mean, I can't even imagine how much money they put into that. It's just ridiculous.
I know. Like all that electrical tape must have taken like $20.
Exactly. And speaking of $20, all the way from Boston, Massachusetts, Ryan McNulty, people.
What's going on, Juan? It's very windy here, so if I have that as background noise, yeah, that's a thing.
But you're not in Chicago. How can it be windy?
I get it. And Ryan has this face where he wants to punch Keith. So, you know, it's going to be a good podcast because we have just one more Raw before WrestleMania. That is absolutely ridiculous. So obviously we're going to be talking about that. We got a ton of questions from the Byte That giveaway, which just has 1 week left. So quick plug, ByteThat.com/giveaway. You get a free chance to win a signed copy of Chris Jericho's third book, The Best in the World at What I Have No Idea. So go over to ByteThat.com for all that cool stuff. But now, getting to Monday Night Raw. Last week we talked about that, you know, there's 2 Raws left, and it didn't feel like WrestleMania season. Personally, I was not able to watch Raw full. I was involved in a car crash. I sent out a tweet. I am alive. I am here. 2 arms, 2 legs, and I think everything else is good. So I was able to watch Raw by clips. So could one of you sort of fill me in on what was the main focus of Raw? Something that made you go, yes. You know, this is what I love about WrestleMania builds. Please tell me there was something like that.
Up until you said that, yes, I was excited to tell you, but then you made a Daniel Bryan joke and I got manically depressed because that wasn't the focus of Raw at all. If I were to say that Raw had a main focus, it would probably be on Rollins and Orton, that feud. That kind of seems like the biggest developed feud at the moment.
Yeah, I definitely saw that. And that D-Bry thing, I did watch Raw clips on YouTube, and that made me a little bit sad. We'll probably get to that. But, Ryan, what was the primary thing that you got from this Raw?
The primary thing was that the build-up to WrestleMania is none too exciting so far. And like Keith said, a lot of time has been put into Seth Rollins and Randy Orton in the past 2 weeks that it's kind of worrying me that the focus isn't elsewhere. If it wasn't for things that happened in the final moment of Raw, I was going to say, like, it really feels like they're building Rollins and Orton up like it's the title match.
Yeah, it almost reminds me a lot of when Rey Mysterio won the Royal Rumble, and that wasn't the last match in that Rumble. It's like, I don't know, maybe WrestleMania, usually the championship match is like the match, but then it just doesn't feel like that. You know, this Raw with Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns, it didn't feel like it was a primary focus. It just felt like it was somewhere in there, and it's one of the matches, but it's not the match, you know, people want to see at Mania.
I've been thinking about it a lot today, and for the last couple of years, the main event hasn't really been the focal point of WrestleMania. Like, last year, it was kind of the main event itself was kind of an asterisk beside the real story, which was Daniel Bryan versus Triple H. And even before that, the Cena Rock 2 match, that hype was a fart in church, basically. So, very poorly built match.
Having said that, then, say the focus isn't the championship match between Lesnar and Reigns. Well, what is that D-Bry scaling? You know, what is that triumph moment? That moment that makes you go, okay, you know, we have that match that's not the main focus, but then we have this atmosphere.
I think it is the possibility of being Sting versus Triple H, because that's kind of the truly unique and special thing about this WrestleMania, is it will be like the only WrestleMania with Sting, most likely. So, yeah.
But where's the feel good moment in that? Like, if you're going by build standpoint, the feel good moment would be, hey guys, WCW got one last kick in, yay!
I don't know, Sting finally getting his WrestleMania moment.
But I think there's just so many ways, so many times, so many other people that he could have had that moment with. I mean, with Triple H, as we saw in a video online, his career is sort of something else. It's not the thing that I would expect. Oh, when I think about WCW versus WWE, I gotta think about Sting and Triple H. I don't.
I would even go as far as saying that Sting could still have that moment while fighting Triple H. Just, they should have went a different way with this build. We've said it for weeks now, but just not a big fan of this whole WWE versus WCW thing. They should have left that on the Monday Night War documentary.
So to sort of summarize this part, what is the feel-good moment then? Because Keith brought it up, but I can't even think of it, because hypothetically, I guess we'll get to it at some point, say Daniel Bryan wins the IC strap. I mean, is that a feel-good moment? To me, that's like the opposite.
I don't think that's a feel-good moment at all. I think what happened here, and I'm kind of going tinfoil hat smart mode, but the feel-good moment was supposed to be Roman Reigns, but it's just not happening that way, so now they're kind of like left drifting at sea with what that's going to be.
Yeah, I think Keith makes a great point. I mean, Lesnar has been the guy who's been built up for a year to be the most unstoppable guy ever. And, obviously someone's supposed to rise up to stop him, but it was done in such a predictable and poor fashion that nobody's going to care when it happens. So their big setup for their feel-good moment is probably not going to go over well, especially just because of the overly smarky WrestleMania crowd. So, I mean, they'll boo it just to spite WWE. That's the thing now. I feel like any WrestleMania crowd, if it's not like an indie darling winning a championship at the end, is probably just going to get booed, from this day and age forward.
So by that then, like, the feel-good moment at WrestleMania could really end up being Bray Wyatt, couldn't it? Where he's the guy that could potentially go over The Undertaker and get that torch, kind of like the future moment.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I was listening to an interview between Ryback and Peter Rosenberg. He put in his latest Cheap Heat, or one of the latest episodes, and Ryback was sort of stating that, the fans seem to have this different feel for the guys that were WWE created and the guys that people know they have a history, like Daniel Bryan, Cesaro, and all that. And, Ryback was talking about his path, how at the beginning people weren't really buying into him, but they had to keep opening up, and it took a lot of time. I mean, it took years. And with Roman, that's not there yet. So I definitely think that Bray Wyatt is probably the best contender, simply because people know, he comes from a wrestling family.
It's not really a feel-good moment, though, in the traditional sense.
I gotta find something. That makes me go, you know what?
It's not supposed to be the feel-good moment. I mean, everybody loves and respects The Undertaker, and I don't think most people will be cheering if he loses again. I mean, there will be cheers, from some
How about
sections.
this? How about this? Instead of, it's not as much as a feel-good moment, but more like it's a bastion of hope. Like, there's that little light at the end of the tunnel that something good's going to come out of WrestleMania.
You know what, though? I will take interesting over feel-good any day. If they do interesting things, they don't just do exactly what's expected, I think I'll be more happy than if, all those feel-good moments aren't great if you see them coming a mile away.
So you're going to be so disappointed in the main event.
Probably.
So I got to bring up one thing. We're saying unexpected, right? We've talked about Cena versus Rusev for multiple episodes, but I don't think we've ever just flat out talked about, is there any scenario where Cena doesn't win? Maybe, is that a feel-good moment? I mean, not in the traditional sense by any means, but I think the majority of the people are just completely discarding the fact that...
that would be the most traditional sense of feel-good moment. John Cena, reclaiming the United States Championship for America.
I'm saying like smarky tinfoil hat moment. Rusev wins cleanly.
Oh, okay.
So we flipped the switch because, think about it, everybody online is just saying, oh, Rusev's being well-built so that when Cena wins... it's kind of almost like Brock Lesnar versus Undertaker last year. I don't think anybody thought Lesnar was going to win except the minority, and then look what happened. I mean, we could be getting that this year.
It's a damn good point.
I mean, that would be a refreshing thing to happen. But do I think it's going to happen? No. But no, I agree. I think that would be an unpredictable, cool moment to happen. That was kind of along the lines of what I was talking about. Something interesting happen. You know, everyone expects Cena to get his revenge at WrestleMania, but what if he doesn't? It kind of creates intrigue and also sets up things to continue past WrestleMania.
Exactly, and I think that the WWE is slowly planting seeds for I don't know what, but I mean, see, Lana was not involved in their segment, right? I only saw
she's
YouTube
filming
clip.
a movie.
Okay, but then how does that work in? Because I mean, during this whole point, Lana has been that third person. Obviously, you know, we're 2 weeks away from WrestleMania. You take Lana out of the pictures, then you're left with these two guys. And I think that could be a really good opportunity. I mean, maybe this movie thing, how many times in wrestling has something happened by accident, by injury? Almost every big thing has happened out of like, oh, somebody's doing this, so this person has to step up to the plate.
I think as far as Rusev's character, the fact that Lana isn't there creates a little bit of intrigue because at the beginning of the character, we talked about how it could be this thing where like Lana's the thing that holds it all together. She's kind of like the mastermind behind Rusev.
Yeah.
So now basically you've created the situation where you cut the head off and Lana isn't there.
That would be cool if they went that route, but I feel like over time they've fleshed out Rusev more and more to just kind of be his own character. He's under his own control more and more. You know, at the very beginning, it was like Lana was completely controlling Rusev, but now that, you know, he stands on his own. And, you know, whoever that scrub was that they brought in this week wasn't doing him any favors. I heard that Lana might actually be there for WrestleMania, so it may not come into play yet if they do something with her, you know, not being around, because the plan is that she probably will be there.
I got to bring up Sting. Obviously, switching gears really hard. There was two parts of this. One was obviously the Raw main event, and by that I mean sort of just the conclusion segment, which Sting appeared. Oh my God, amazing. And then there was this WWE Network segment where he actually cut a small promo. So we got a little bit of both worlds. I want to talk about that because obviously Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton is a focus, but they seem to be definitely tying up these two matches. I think that sort of gets rid of some of the WCW versus WWE-ness, and I guess almost makes Sting like a father figure, if you will, for Randy. I mean, was I the only one getting that sort of vibe? It just seemed like Randy just liked having that elderly figure, somebody that, you know, is not going to be directly active for a very long time
Sting's
or something.
old, but you really got to call him elderly.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sting.
Yeah,
Sorry.
come on now. I mean, Ric Flair would be that if anything, but I think it was just a situation of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. They're both going against the authorities in their own way, so you just team up.
Well, that's true, but what did you like about that segment? Personally, once again, I just saw the good parts, which I just want to bring up quickly. It's so interesting watching Raw. It took me maybe like 45 minutes to watch all of this that we're bringing up right now, when Raw lasts like, what, 3 hours, 15 minutes, plus the network overtime or something like that. And then it took me 45
Isn't Hulu
minutes.
so tempting?
No, believe me, like I was watching it this morning and just before recording the podcast, and I was just thinking to myself, man, not 3 hours is so nice.
I didn't actually catch their promo afterwards because I'm sorry, WWE, but I already give you 3 hours of my Monday, and then when you demand it's a little more than 3 hours actually because the overrun, and then you demand 10 more minutes of my time, that's where I got to draw the line. I might catch it at some point, but it just gets a little ridiculous. But just to comment on the actual end of Raw with Sting, I thought that was awesome. I think we saw a lot of life and energy out of Sting that, you know, we've kind of needed to see. He brought a lot, and the crowd was going nuts for it. So that the way they ended the Sting segment was awesome, and it definitely got me more pumped up for the feud.
Exactly. Like, you saw life in Sting. You kind of had that little glimmer of hope that, oh, maybe he will be able to go in the ring, because we didn't really have that up until then. Now, given that this was like a 2-minute segment opposed to like a 20-plus minute match with Triple H, but it was cool. You got to see Sting go.
I liked it simply because it reassured me that they're not going to just keep doing that, voice modification thing. It is Sting at the end of the day. He sounded like a human being. I mean, he was saying, like, it took me 14 years, stating everything that people have been saying about him. But it was nice just to hear him say it in the ring, as a wrestler probably does.
So this goes back to that whole voice modulation thing. I'm so happy you brought that up. If Sting was in the ring and cut a promo, what was the point of that voice modulation? It just goes back to this, like, why would you do that?
Improvising on the fly. They realized there was a lot of backlash from it, so they were like, all right, we'll just have him talk normal because nobody's buying this stupid voice.
Yeah, it's a thing that's happening, but it's nice that he's active. He's looking in better shape than even when he showed up in Survivor Series. He seemed a little bit bigger. He doesn't have a shirt that was 3 times larger than him now, so that was kind of nice.
Bold prediction, guys. I think Sting is going to surprise a lot of us. He allegedly this is potentially his last match. So I think the guy is going to train his ass off. He's going to get in good shape. I don't know. He's like, he'll probably be wearing his like long what are you, singlet type, thing. Like, I think
he'll be wearing what we saw him wearing on Monday.
I don't think he's going t-shirt Sting, man. I think he's going all out to really train, to really look good for this match. He's just going to do it one more time. So I think we're going to get like the singlet type Sting.
Yeah, I don't doubt that for a second, honestly. And like I've said from the beginning, Sting's in the ring with probably the best person on the active roster to be in the ring with, Triple H. Like, that is a guy that knows his craft. So if somebody can carry Sting to an amazing match, I feel like Triple H is that guy.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that all these matches in WrestleMania, removing the emotional part aside, so the whole, Daniel Bryan's not in the main event, removing all that, I think even Lesnar versus Reigns has a potential to be a very fun match, because even if the in-ring stuff is crap, which I doubt that's going to happen, just the atmosphere, everybody just getting all riled up and all that, I think that alone is what's going to make WrestleMania. And personally, I think that's what makes any WrestleMania or any real wrestling show, the thing. But I got to bring this up. We talked about D-Bry for like maybe 30 seconds. I was watching a video on YouTube about what happened. They had this thing where Wade Barrett was bullhammering everybody, and just, it was so sad because, once again, I didn't have any context of what happened before or after, but this is what WWE is saying, you know what, this is what I want you to watch on the YouTube channel, and Daniel Bryan was so irrelevant in it. Like, I don't know if he spoke before or after, but he seemed like just Dean Ambrose, Luke Harper, everybody else seemed way more irrelevant than he was, and it hurt. It hurt, man. I'm so sad. So sad.
I think at this point they're just toying with our feels. Like, I don't know if this is true or not, but I even read somewhere online that they were taking away Daniel Bryan signs because somebody said, "Oh, we have enough of those," style thing. So I think they're just trying to bury the Yes Movement into the ground.
This is like some communist Russia stuff going on here with like trying to oppress Daniel Bryan. It's like, it's insane.
It's become a conspiracy. Did you guys read that theory about how they're taking care of Roman Reigns? So they're closing up on his face, blurring the people in the background. So if they're booing him or something, you can't tell because it's a depth of field, blurry background. And like that's why they have him just speak directly to the camera, just so he doesn't look as weak.
Oh my god, this is like seriously. Like, I mentioned this last week about like if WWE was ruling a country, I would never want to live in it because it's like this oppressive dictatorship. That's what it reminds me of. Like, anyone who's like in taken a history class and heard about like propaganda and all that, like WWE is like the worst with this kind of stuff. It's like they just want to get inside your head and make you like the people that they want to like, and like sometimes to like a scary degree. Like, this is just getting like a little weird with this stuff, like taking signs away and stuff. It's kind of freaking me out.
I got to bring this up. Keith, can you bring up the question we were going to talk about sort of at the bottom of the show, sent to us by Shoot Network, which you got to check out, follow them. It's a great website. They have like all the podcasts, including this one right here, but it has to do with this topic. So we got to bump it up, people.
Indeed, going all crazy out of order. There's no rules this week on Byte. That's the name of our podcast. Yes, indeed. So the question is, What's your take on the WWE making those guys in the front row change clothes?
Yeah, for context, basically, there were a lot of guys dressed as, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man. I mean, this is like a normal thing in wrestling shows. I mean, we went to WrestleMania, there were like 20 Ric Flairs.
Yeah. It wasn't even anybody offensive. It was just generic WWE legends, and they made them change. Basically, they either changed or they gave up their front row seats and had to go home. And that's crazy to me.
What do you think, Ryan?
I feel like it's kind of going back to that like dictatorship. It's like if Comic-Con was like nobody's allowed to cosplay or whatever. Like you're taking a lot of the fun out of wrestling, and you're trying to micromanage and control everything.
Indeed, like the first thing that I thought about was the Attitude Era and how everybody would go and like dress up, and just, if you looked in the crowd, there would be a sea of signs, and even like just dumb signs, like in the middle of the hard camera, there would be like Goldberg blows men or something like that.
I'd rather
and there were
be
just
in
no
China.
Rules back then.
Oh, how times have changed.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. WWE created this culture. So it's not like, we as wrestling fans just want to mess with the wrestling product. WWE during the Attitude Era and all that stuff basically made people, they manipulated people to wanting to do that.
It kind of touches on, and sorry, Keith, to jump on you. I know you wanted to speak, but
it's okay.
It
jump
kind
on me
of
anytime.
Whoa, okay. It kind of goes to that Lance Storm rant about how WWE conditions their fans, and then they're upset when they don't get the results that they want. It's like they really conditioned all the fans to, be interactive, to bring signs, and to do all this. And now that they want to be even more interactive, like they're just saying no. Like, we need to control it.
I'm going to play devil's advocate for a moment here. Not that I necessarily agree with the opinion, but I'm just going to bring it up and we can discuss it. What if they made it change from a standpoint of, now that WWE is so social media focused and everybody's talking about it together while the show's going on, those people in the front row would be the focal point of the discussion. Nobody would care what's going on in the ring. It'd be, look at the guy acting like an idiot dressed as Hulk Hogan. So from that standpoint, like, you can kind of get it.
WWE made its bed and now it doesn't want to sleep in it. They've
pretty much.
Like, this whole push for social media has basically created a community where they can band like together more than they ever have before. So if there's like any type of negative thing going on that the fans don't like, everybody knows about it and everyone's going to get pissed off about it.
Remember when they had the Let's Go JBL King Cole chants and all that?
Oh, you mean that night that I won a slam?
Exactly.
Before.
I'm just referencing nights in general. Remember when JBL got up and alluded, like made aware that he liked that they were even aware of that?
Yeah, I saw it live. I won a slammy for it.
I'm going to talk directly to you. I'm
This is
going
an
to throw out
A&B
that middle box
conversation,
on
Keith.
Skype. No, but when things like that happen and WWE acknowledges it, guess frickin' what? You can't just manipulate everybody to the point where, fandangoing is fine, because we can make a Titantron and make some things out of it and it can climb up on Spotify. Oh, but then we have this other chant, the yes chant. Yeah, let's lower the volume. Or maybe the people in the crowd. Yeah, I get it. I mean, we've been guilty as charged for sometimes saying that the crowd has been the best part of Raw because, somebody's acting all crazy or a sign or something. But once again, when you have conditioned the people to do that, ourselves included, guess what? I mean,
that's what's going to happen.
You got to deal with it as a company. You can't just go out and say, oh, well, you are wearing a Ric Flair robe. That guy that has a book that, we sort of helped publish, that you probably made money out of, that you probably bought a DVD, that you probably watched one of his matches in the network. Yeah, you can't wear that.
And let's make this point here, okay? Maybe if you put on a better show, you wouldn't have to worry about some dude dressed like Macho Man distracting your audience.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
If the show was compelling enough, nobody gives a crap about the fat guy dressed like Hulk Hogan.
Exactly. I mean, Okay, what if back in the day, in the Attitude Era, remember when there were like 80,000 signs in an audience? What if WWE just went, you know what, we've met our sign quota for the night, thank you, okay? So if you could sort of get rid of some of them, okay? That's ridiculous.
Yes, because Mr. Mackey was in charge of security during the Attitude
I wanted
Era.
to get a South Park reference in. Leave me alone.
Well,
There
congratulations.
was a lot of
Thank you.
South Park signs in the Attitude Era, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, especially a lot
Indeed.
of DX combination. But for those listening, what do you think about this? Obviously, we do need to play devil's advocate. The problem is there's just a lot of stuff that comes up that's questionable. I definitely do think it's because of what Keith mentioned. You know, take some of the audience attention away from the match or the segment and into the audience. But then what Ryan said, if the product's good, people won't care. You know, didn't Jake the Snake Roberts say Jake the Roberts? But Jake the Snake said that wrestling is like masturbating the audience. It sounds messed up, but it's true. It makes perfect sense. The wrestlers, the company, their job is to basically give us pleasure to the point where that is the focal point. So
Wow.
WWE, masturbate us.
I mean, he's right. Like, totally. Like, you know that.
If it's not
Masturbate
good,
us.
you're gonna care more about like something else.
Yeah, you're gonna like look forward to the next one potentially or something like that. But like when you get that big moment, like let's say Daniel Bryan winning at WrestleMania, that's like a money shot right there, basically.
Exactly,
And
man.
speaking of,
One last quick thing I want to bring up for Raw, and this is totally not the appropriate time, but it's on the agenda, so I got to bring it up. The Divas segment.
Oh no!
They got a lot of time.
it's as appropriate as
They
ever.
they had a great match. They really did. Damn it! Why am I laughing? Keith, take it away while I stop being so
It was a little
mature about the
sloppy,
thing.
actually, but
Yeah. So while one becomes an adult again, the Divas had a segment. They had a fairly lengthy segment. Now, I'd like to address a portion of the fans that I saw, doing their thing and complaining about that there was a commercial during the Divas
my
segment.
God.
Really? Like, why would you do that? Like, John Cena has commercials during his matches. Really pick your battles and fight them. But I don't know. It was a really good segment. AJ and Nikki put on a good match, and personally, I'm excited for the WrestleMania match.
yeah, because we saw the whole give Divas a chance. 2 weeks ago, they gave the Divas time to do something. Last week, they didn't really. But so we all thought, oh, it was one and done. They're not going to do it anymore. But no, I mean, I believe the Divas match was the opening match of the night. And they got like 2 segments because there was a commercial in between. That's actually a positive for anyone who was unaware. So, was it the greatest match in the world? Did it blow everybody away? No. But is it
But it was a solid
it's a
match.
solid match and a step in the right direction.
Speaking of matches on Raw, do you realize there was only 4 wrestling matches last night?
As opposed to like 4 matches.
Yes.
Sports
wrestling
entertainment
matches.
Four
Indeed.
sports. You know what? I'm just gonna. Yeah, that was weird. And I don't know. Once again, I watched the YouTube clips, so to me, Raw seemed perfect because they cut all the crap out. All the videos went directly to the point that they wanted to get across for WrestleMania. And I think they should do that more. Then Tyson Kidd and Cesaro wrestled, right? And then there was something where apparently Michael Cole or somebody couldn't remember Xavier Woods' name, so they just made open reference to the New Day. I read something about that too.
No,
Well,
okay.
it was a thing, and I brought it up, and it was on social media. So there was that. All this good stuff is happening. So I think it's time we take a little break. We talked a lot about Raw, so what's on the agenda this week?
Pick of the week.
So it's time for this week.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the pick of the week.
While we're talking about great things and awesome things, let's talk about the epitome of that has come out in recent memory. It is a short film by a man named Max Landis, who is the son of John David Landis, who directed Blues Brothers. So there's a little bit of film background there, called Wrestling Isn't Wrestling. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this is basically summed up perfectly why I love wrestling. It goes into the whole, like, yeah, wrestling isn't real discussion. It starts out there. It goes through the entire character arc of Triple H in the most amazing way possible. Like, it was comedic, but 100% of it was accurate. And then it kind of really touches on the fact that, like, yeah, hey, wrestling is pretty dumb, guys. And just did an excellent job with it. Have either of you guys watched it
Of
yet?
course, man. I watched it this morning, and it was freaking awesome. I mean, everybody, my Facebook feed, Twitter, I mean, during Raw, I just got all these messages, and I'm just thinking, wrestling isn't wrestling. It's probably some boring video. I see it has like 500,000 views 24 hours in, so I'm thinking, okay, I should probably check it out.
Yeah, and you know me, dude. I live the gimmick. I haven't seen it all yet, so I am going to watch it. I swear. I promise.
In 5 months.
No, I've seen a couple minutes of it because I was watching a television show called Monday Night Raw that did take up most of my night. But I will watch it. Unlike Lucha Underground, which now is a gimmick in and of itself that I'd never watch it.
Indeed. Well, Ryan, I can't recommend Wrestling Isn't Wrestling enough. It's a really cool story. It's really funny as well, and just has a lot of cool guest appearances like Joey Ryan, John Morrison, or Johnny Mundo, whatever you know him by at this point. Colt Cabana, Justin
Steve
Roberts. JTG was in it. Crime Time was in it in the same scene together. JTG and Shad. There's just a lot of cool.
Macaulay Culkin was in it. Macaulay freaking Culkin.
Exactly.
No more spoilers, all right?
Well, watch it.
Don't worry. Yeah, it's not like you're going to watch it anyway. But to everybody else out there whose opinions matter, check out Wrestling Isn't Wrestling. It is my pick of the week. It is going to be my pick of the week probably for the next 10 months because I'll continue watching it that whole time. So yeah, check that out.
Thank you, Keith, for that awesome pick of the week. It's something that we as wrestling fans don't watch a lot, and it goes to show that you can do the same thing different. I thought it was just going to be a parody, but it's so much more than that. And the fact that it's portrayed by women instead of males, and then that the way they did everything is just spectacularly done. You got to check it out. Also, by the way, 1 week left, March 23rd. That is the final day to enter our Byte That WrestleMania giveaway. We're giving away a free signed copy of Chris Jericho's third book, The Best in the World at What I Have No Idea. You got to be from the US, Canada, or Europe to enter. The contest ends on March 23rd. That is a Monday, and we will be announcing the winner on the podcast next week, March 24th, so stay tuned to that. And by the way, this Thursday, new fight night coming up. We got triple threat action, Chicken Shot, Dandy, and then Max Velocito, this unknown guy. And if you haven't watched Fight Night, you're probably thinking to yourself, who the hell is Chicken Shot? Well, you, sir, or female, or, I mean, who knows? I mean, we don't know what...
Or chicken, you
exactly,
never know.
You could be a chicken. I mean, what's part of your family? YouTube.com/ByteThatCast. And last thing I want to bring up, as I said earlier, check out the Shoot Wrestling Network. It's basically a place where you can check out multiple podcasts, including this one, because obviously there's a ton of wrestling podcasts. There's a ton of great wrestling podcasts made by wrestling fans, such as yourself, such as Ryan Davis, all these awesome people. Do yourself a favor. Check out their Twitter, Shoot Network, and just support them. It is an independent thing being developed. It is free of charge, a lot of entertainment, a lot of fun. We're part of it because we really believe that, I mean, if they grow, we grow, everybody grows. It's a happy family. You know, we have a WrestleMania where it's just people of the network together. And I think I've said enough about that.
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor, check it out. So this is where we get to have a little bit of fun because a lot of you have sent multiple questions thanks to the giveaway. So we're going to try and elaborate and answer as many questions. So we're going to be switching between Ryan, Keith, and then we're going to be answering the questions. So Keith, take it away.
All right. First question comes in from the fourth Bitey himself, Mr. Roast McPoach. Mr. Roach McPoach.
Are you male, female,
and he
or chicken?
asks, I don't know. I'm probably chicken. But his question is, past, present, or fantasy match, what dream match would you like to referee?
I would actually go with a very stereotypical answer, and it's like Andre versus Hulk Hogan, because I would have loved to be part of that wrestling audience. When people, you know, there were still a lot of believers that wrestling was real and all that stuff. And just to be in the middle of that ring in such a legendary moment, be the one that counts the 1, 2, 3, and just that the people, imagine the noise, everything you're hearing there, it would be amazing.
I have to go with the Montreal Screwjob.
You took my answer.
It's a huge moment in wrestling, and I can exploit it for the rest of my career by doing interviews and making money off of people.
Pretty much my answer.
All right, so now who goes? Let's move on to the next question, shall we? From Mr. Pro Skill Gamer at Pro Skills Gamer, and he asks, do you think WWE has too many top guys so that it makes their cards too full?
I think WWE simply has a too big a roster. And then goes to the point where you have superstars, you have all this, but it's really hard because they have a lot of everything, and that everything sort of turns into nothing for me.
Yeah, how does a situation get created where you have 3 hours of live television on a Monday and the roster still feels too big? It just seems kind of crazy, but yeah, exactly what Juan said.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many top guys. I think there's just too many people in general. They don't have enough top guys because they haven't really put in enough time to build enough people up to be at the same level. So yeah, I think they have too many guys who are just kind of lost in the shuffle.
Agreed. All right, thank you, Mr. Pro Skills Gamer, for the question. On to the next question, which this one's a doozy. They didn't leave a name, but they ask, Razor Blade?
Is it a question or more of a statement? It just says Razor Blades in caps lock. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm pretty sure.
And they spelt it with a Z as well.
I'm pretty sure this is some kind of spam account, but hey, you don't know. Maybe there's a wrestler called. Let's speculate on this. Who is Razor Blade? Is it a thing, a scooter, a person, a finishing move?
I will bet you $20 right now that there is at least one wrestler out there with the name of Razor Blade.
Okay, good people, look up Razor Blade. Please tweet us a picture if there's a guy by the name of Razor Blade.
All right. Now our next question. They didn't leave a name either. I'm not going to say the full thing here, but someone's trying to advertise like a wristband or something, and I refuse to give them advertisement because, yeah.
So, as you can see, the quality of questions you need, the quality of question you need to enter this contest is very high.
You know what? Once again, plain devil's advocate. Maybe this person is not here to promote the wristbands, but to ask us, do we wear wristbands? Do you wear wristbands, Ryan?
No, I don't. And let me just say this.
I wear a watch on days.
If this is your first week listening, our WrestleMania giveaway questions were on a good streak of being quality questions, and we didn't have any spam. Something happened this week, but you know what? It just means it's probably more people who just want to get that Chris Jericho book. But I'll read the next question because it's actually a real question. This person also did not leave a name, but they actually asked a question. Doesn't have a question mark, but I'm not going to get technical. Not sure if you've ever said, but what's your favorite match of all time?
See, for me, it's always really hard to answer. One of them, I guess, would be Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho at WrestleMania 19. And then another one would have to be The Rock versus Stone Cold at WrestleMania 17. I think those matches speak for themselves. They're amazing matches, but just the atmosphere, the fact that it's guys that you put them in the ring, they could have done nothing for like an hour, and we would be getting Holy-ish chants, we would be getting Match of the Year chants, simply because everything was built up so well in both histories, in both stories, to the point where like the Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho one actually had an even better match later, like 5-6 years later, but it was that match that really picked things up.
Indeed. For mine, I'm going to have to say Cactus Jack versus Triple H at the 2000 Royal Rumble. In my opinion, it's really the match that put Triple H on the map. Like, that match is freaking brutal. But it also told a really good story. Like, it was really Triple H's breakout moment, in my opinion.
This is actually very tough for me, and I don't know if I've ever truly picked a favorite match of all time. The first thing that always comes to mind are, the TLC matches, probably TLC 2. WrestleMania 17 always gets a lot of love. Another match that maybe...
So you're a spot monkey.
Possibly.
What about the wrestling logic, Ryan? The work rate.
Yeah.
The work rate.
And maybe not a lot of people would pick, but it's up there. I don't know if it would be my favorite, but I did really like Randy Orton versus Undertaker at WrestleMania 21. And a lot of that had to do with, like, that was a year where I really thought the streak could have ended. So it really kind of added to that. And I'm sure there's a ton I'm just not thinking of. I know there's, they're up there, and it's tough, but I'd have to go with the TLC matches.
It depends on how you're feeling a lot. Like, sometimes if it's like a cleaning the house kind of day, it could be a different type of match. But if it's just like a sit down and watch, the answer may change. So maybe we got to get specific, for a rainy day. What is your favorite match? We'll answer that someday.
Yes, and I know on sunny days, my favorite match is Melina versus Alicia Fox. Moving on, the next question comes from Mr. Pro Skills Gamer once again, and he asks, what future NXT theme will be iconic in the future?
Is there any answer that's not Finn Balor?
Sasha Banks, thank you very much.
But yeah, for me, it's Finn Balor. I think that theme is freaking amazing. It pumps me up. But then Sasha Banks, I'll admit, I listen to it every single morning and at least 5 times a day.
Those two are definitely up there because I feel like those are two themes that are least likely to probably be changed if they ever got called up to the main roster. I think Tyler Breeze's theme, especially because he sings his own theme, could catch on. I don't know if it's ever going to be like Sexy Boy was, but I definitely think, he'll be keeping that theme for a long time. All right, so we will go to the next question from another anonymous person, and they say, will Daniel Bryan ever be World Heavyweight Champion again?
Well, considering the belt doesn't exist anymore, the answer is no. But now a real answer. I think the answer is yes, but nowhere in the near future. Maybe once the whole Roman Reigns building the divine plan thing kind of levels out, then yeah, we might see another Daniel Bryan title reign, but nowhere anytime soon.
Yeah, same. I think that if we ever are to see him as world champion, WWE champion again, it's going to be like 3 years down the line. And it's not going to be as part of the Yes movement. I think that he is going to have to completely reinvent himself because it's going to seem like we're getting scraps now with the way that they've changed everything about him. And it just sucks because last year was the moment. Obviously, he got injured, so that's nobody's fault, maybe. We're not there to really say that he was neglecting his health or something, but I don't know. I think that's the best answer we can get, really.
For Daniel Bryan being world champion, I honestly think he will be at some point. I just think he's too popular for them to ignore it. It's just right now they have bigger plans, but I think it'll happen again eventually.
Agreed. All right, thank you for the question. And the next question, this person also did not leave a name, but they ask, who is the greatest WWE champion of the modern era?
This is really hard for me to answer because...
Hold on, before you answer, I'm going to step on you just for a second. What are we defining as the modern era? So we're all clear.
I would say... like past
retirement?
the ruthless aggression era.
Like WWE talk was like the last 25 years. So are we going with that?
That's true.
Or are we going like last couple years?
I would really, you know what? Let's go by the most literal sense and say WrestleMania 28 Hell in a Cell, where it was the end of an era.
Okay, well, let's make this a little bit more realistic. What about maybe from ruthless aggression era on?
Sure. My answer's still the same.
Which is?
What was your answer?
And that would be CM Punk, I think, is the greatest champion of the modern era. Not just because it was some dumb buzzword, but I legitimately think he was a great champion because he had that flexibility. He was a great face and he was a great heel. He put on great matches the whole time. And I mean, some of the most entertaining segments of those years involved CM Punk in some way, shape, or fashion. So I think he is the greatest champion of the modern era.
Yeah, I gotta agree, simply because I tend to not care about whoever's champion, but CM Punk's title reign, mean, there was a little while where I didn't care about it too much, but he managed to make so many different things work, changing a lot of things up to the point where, we cared about the reign, whether it was because we wanted him to remain champion or lose the championship. It is the only title reign where I was legitimately looking forward to see what was going to happen.
For me, I'm going to say, and this answer would have really hurt me to say a couple of years ago, but I honestly think Triple H, I think he really defined like what it is and to be a champion from like Ruthless Aggression on. He looked the part, he played the part, he truly felt like he was, at the top of the company. So I don't know. I feel like he played the part, to the book, and you hated it. You wanted somebody to beat him.
Yeah, suck it, boogers, farts. That's a Wrestling Isn't Wrestling reference for anybody who didn't get it, but yeah. Ryan, next question.
Alrighty. That was a thing. Okay. We're gonna skip the other thing about razor blades because there was another thing about razor blades. This time they clarified what they were talking about.
But we're going to leave that to the imagination.
Is Gillette a sponsor? No? Okay.
No, it's not.
But hey, if anybody's listening from Gillette and you want to get on board, you can bytethatcast@gmail.com. Just saying.
Yes, we will shave using your stuff in all areas. All right. Mr. Roachwood Poach is back again. It's a twofer. All right, so let's see. From the wrestling books that you've read, which one is the most informative and entertaining?
Is anybody's answer Jericho?
I haven't read Jericho's books, I'll be honest.
So it's actually going to be my answer. For those that have probably watched Jericho's documentary either on the network or the DVD, the book is that and like a million times more. It is funny. I legitimately laughed out loud. I love the first one because Jericho has 3 books. I'm talking about specifically Alliance Tale, Around the World, and Spandex. It is absolutely awesome. It's one of the few books. I try to read books as much as I can, but I have a really short attention span. But this one I was able to read a lot easily. I was maybe done in maybe like a week or two. And it's one of the most insightful books. Talks about him with Lance Storm. A lot of stuff we've heard in the podcast at this point, I guess. But it's definitely worth a read. And if you want to read one of the other ones from Jericho, you could go to bytethat.com/byte the giveaway. You could go to bytethat.com/giveaway and then, check it out.
Indeed. Now, my answer, just like Juan's, is the same for both parts, and that's Mick Foley's first book, Have a Nice Day. It's entertaining as heck. There's so many cheap shots towards Al Snow in that book. It's amazing, and it's very informative about Mick Foley's story. Like, he's not your, hey, I'm Joe Blow wrestler going into the wrestling business. Like, he kind of carved out his own place in wrestling history, making his own style. And it was a really informative look into that whole story. And it's awesome. I would highly recommend checking it out.
And for me, much like being told to watch videos, I am also a terrible book reader. So I've never finished a wrestling book, so there is a confession. Are you
even a wrestling fan?
There is a confession.
Ryan, real talk.
But hold on. Hey, let me finish, all right? But I did read a decent chunk of Mick Foley's Have a Nice Day, okay? And I did enjoy
and
what I read.
Isn't it great?
Okay? So
that prologue was amazing.
Yes.
Totally.
Okay, I'm not even sure I made it to like the pictures in the middle. And I read some of...
Okay, that was my question.
I read some of... Shawn Michaels' book as well, but I didn't get that far. I maybe got to when the Rockers got fired the first time, so there you go.
Yeah. See, personally, like, as a human being that has read that whole book, I wasn't a big fan of Shawn Michaels' book. I think it was really good up until he retired after WrestleMania. Then it just went a little too fast.
I definitely enjoyed Mick Foley's more, and I remember him talking about holding hands with some guy in some country, or I don't know. You don't remember that part?
I think those are just the movies you watch. But on to the next question.
I swear.
From Mr. Pro Skills Gamer once again, what do you guys think about the Wednesday Night War? And by this, he means Lucha Underground versus NXT. So, Ryan, what do you think about the Wednesday
first of all,
Night War?
I'm a week behind on NXT, and I haven't watched Lucha Underground. So, NXT wins, lol, with Alex Riley championing as the head of the group.
I love how offensive this episode has been towards Ryan for like no reason. But to me, I think that NXT will become a big WWE product, and Lucha Underground will become a very big entertainment product. So I think that they're two different markets. I think both will grow, but I think at some point NXT will stop growing simply because at the end of the day, there's Raw, SmackDown, and the rest of the WWE. While Lucha Underground collaborates with AAA, collaborates with a lot of independent talent, so they have a lot more potential to keep growing.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I think with NXT as a concept, there's that glass ceiling where, yeah, it's great week to week, but the end game of everybody in NXT is getting called up to the main roster, right? So you're never going to have that consistent group of people. Where Lucha Underground is Lucha Underground. Like, yeah, they're doing like awesome stuff different, but you're going to have your main roster, and that will carry them into the future.
First of all, I totally interpreted it wrong, thinking it was like a versus type of match. Second, though, is Lucha Underground's on some, was it like El Rey Network?
El Rey Network, yeah.
Does anyone actually have that channel?
Yeah, it's actually growing a lot. As a matter of fact, you don't even need the channel. Right now, if you have something like a PS3 and all that, there's a thing called Sling, which is an online competitor, which is like you pay $20 a month and you get a ton of channels, including El Rey. And Robert Rodriguez is backing this up, so there's a ton of money. El Rey Network, it's going to keep growing. And no, I'm not getting paid to say this.
Keith is stifling the Byte That universe. Let me just say that.
Keith!
All right.
Fine.
Okay.
If you want it,
Here we
there
go.
it is.
All right. This is fucked. Whoop. This. All right. Uncensored, boys. Let's do this. If the three of you were superstars, which character would you each be, and who would win in a bikini contest? From Herbert the Pervert. For my choice, I am going to pick Candice Michelle.
You are probably the farthest from Candice
We
Michelle
get to pick
I've
whoever.
ever.
What about you,
Okay.
Keith?
We're going bikini contest, all right, bro?
Who would? Yeah, I mean, you would win. Probably. Who would I be? I don't know. There is no answer to this question. One answer for me. Who would I be?
Mine to me is the easiest thing ever. Norman Smiley. I mean, he's the one that wins everything. So Norman Smiley, big wiggle, bikini. Yes, please. Check.
And Keith picks Santina Morella, so I win.
Nah, I picked Santina
Yeah, that's
Morella.
what I said.
Miss WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. All right, next question. From Mr. Pro Skills Gamer. Once again, he's just all over the place here, dropping all the questions, all the knowledge on us this week. So he asks, why don't you watch SmackDown?
All right, so I actually happened to catch SmackDown this week, at least the end of it. And
You actually watched something
yes,
wrestling
I did.
related.
Wow, hey guys, I actually watched something that wasn't Raw, and I regretted it. No. But they ended SmackDown calling Daniel Bryan a turd. So that's why I don't watch SmackDown.
I mean, mine, like, I'm kind of in the middle somewhere. Like, I don't watch SmackDown when it's on the air because, like, I'm usually doing something on a Thursday, and it just never really works out. But I do always make an effort to catch the YouTube clips, so that's kind of like a half answer, somewhat.
My two quick answers. Number one, as Ryan always says, 3 hours ain't enough. Oh, wait, it is. It's way too much on Raw. And then the other one is, I'm a person that likes to get a little bit of everything. So, like, if I'm going to devote time to watching wrestling, I don't want it to just be WWE. I know there's people that have a lot of time to watch a ton of WWE and a ton of Ring of Honor and a ton of Impact Wrestling, but I don't really have that time. So I try to devote that other time that would be SmackDown to either producing wrestling, which I do here, or watching Ring of Honor clips, or I actually watched a little bit of Impact Wrestling every now and then now. just to get a different feel of what's out there, because I don't like to just watch WWE. WWE is not the only thing out there, so that's sort of my answer.
All right, next question. How long should the Authority stay in power? Keith, why don't you start?
As long as it's relevant, really. Like, I don't think there should be a hard date. Like, they should be in power until WrestleMania 27, but as long as they're doing, like, WrestleMania 27, that happened 3 years ago. Moving on. But, wait, that was actually 4. Whatever. Anyway, like, as long as it's cool and as long as it's interesting, that's how long they should be in power.
What the hell has happened this week?
I love these episodes.
It's something.
You were so ready to answer, and I told Keith to start.
For me, I'm just going to say, at most, next WrestleMania, switching who is in the Authority. So, like, you keep Triple H and Stephanie, but I think that you give Big Show Kane the boot, you get rid of J&J, and then you sort of like Nexus 2.0, except they actually do something with it.
To be fair, with my answer, when I say the Authority, I'm saying Triple H and Stephanie. Like, I'm not counting the rest of the stable, but I think Triple H and Stephanie should be in power for a very long time, just so they have that authoritative heel on the roster that just kind of reigns over everybody.
All right, for my answer, as far as I know, USA likes Triple H and Stephanie on TV a lot. So I'm going to say that for at least another year, we're going to get Authority-type storylines. But there's a big possibility that they'll stay on TV longer, but maybe dial it back and just kind of be like sort of like how Eric Bischoff was as like a heel GM, where it's like he's not always involved in the stories, but he's still kind of the heel and he's just kind of running the show.
All right. Well, thank you for the question, and on to the next one. Anonymous asks, will Enzo Amore get over on the main roster?
I'm going to say yes, but I don't think he can just go right out of the gate like he is now on NXT. Like, people have to kind of learn and get to know him. So he should probably start out as a heel because most people are probably going to be put off by him right from the get-go.
See, I'm going to say in Enzo Amore's current stick, like if he just went on Raw tomorrow and does what he does on NXT, I'm going to say no, he won't get over. I just think it's too long, like to go through that every week, that whole stick with big cast and spelling SAWFT. I think it'll just get boring and old. Soft, but I'm honestly like, I think he'd have to evolve and change a little bit to get over. The concept's there, but not the full package.
I think the concept's there, and I think that he would feel the same way Emma did. And I love Enzo, but his character is based on a specific crowd reacting to a specific thing. And when the crowd changes on a weekly basis, from house shows to TV, and then the other thing, Ascension, what happened with JBL, Cole, when the commentary team may not necessarily be the thing you need as a character to get over, I think he's got way too many things going by him. When you factor in that nobody ever talks about his wrestling, everybody talks about the mic skill. So because he isn't that well recognized for an all-around package, I don't think it's going to work.
Alrighty, last question. What wrestler would you like to see write a book?
Easy, The Undertaker. Period.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a better answer than that. We got a little bit of American Badass talking about his career, some things, but Undertaker talking about the streak, talking about, growing up in wrestling, went to hang up the boots, all that stuff. I mean, he's been in every type of locker room. Every type of locker room, pretty much. There wouldn't be a better book.
I couldn't really think of a good answer, and then, yeah, Keith just pretty much nailed it, because he is, and no pun intended with, if there even was one, no, there isn't really, nail, coffin, whatever. But, yeah, Undertaker is the guy who we probably have, like, the least amount of insight on. He's had plenty of DVDs, but there's no, like, definitive inside look at his career type of DVD where he really speaks out. So there's just so much that to learn from him. So absolutely 100% The Undertaker.
And a secondary answer that's pretty much on the same level is Vincent Kennedy McMahon for all the exact same reasons.
The first 5,000-page book.
I would read it cover to cover.
But yeah, thanks to everybody that's sent those questions. Those are really awesome. You also sent some questions for the Square Roundtable. For those that don't know, the Square Roundtable is sort of specific videos where we talk about one primary topic. They're available on the YouTube channel. There's going to be a new one next week. We had one last week you can check out talking about best finishers in wrestling. So thanks to everybody. Remember, the contest ends on March 23rd. And for everything else, Mr. McNulty, take it away.
All right, so thank you everyone for listening to another edition of the Byte That podcast. So here come the Plugarinos YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Like Juan said, we got another awesome, ridiculous episode of Fight Night. I'm losing my voice. I'm so excited, all right? We got another episode of Fight Night where me and Juan commentate WWE 2K14 matches, but it's more than that. It's ridiculous. It's fun, so check that out. You can also check out the Square Round tables that Juan mentioned. And like he said, we talked about WWE finishers on last week's, and we'll have another one for you next week. Don't forget about that giveaway to win Chris Jericho's third book, The Best in the World at What? I Have No Idea. You win a signed copy. You can sign up right over at bytethat.com/giveaway, and it's also your last week to do that. It ends the 23rd, and it's also your last chance to get in a bunch of these questions that we've just been answering to end the show. So make sure you do that. You can also catch us on social media on Twitter at ByteThatCast and Facebook, facebook.com/ByteThatCast. Everything else, you can go right to bytethat.com. That's Byte That with the Y. So thanks again for listening, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Woo!